Is the King of Boys movie really about Tinubu?
OB Keeng to ease no eye, coming out with the music to ease your mind.
Hi guys, it's OB Keeng once again in the house with another video for you guys. There is a lot of talk online lately about the King of Boys movie and how it is an unofficial origin story for Nigerian presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So today I'm doing an analysis of this claim to find out if it's true or not. If you don't know, King of Boys is a very popular Nollywood movie directed by Kemi Adetiba. I'll put a link to the movie in the description, but I have to warn you, this movie is very graphic. Like, it's not something you want to show your kids. It's not for the faint of heart. Let me say first that this analysis is going to have a lot of spoilers, so if you don't want the movie spoiled for you, you can skip to this timestamp right here for a summary. Now on to the review. The movie is centered around the character of Eniola Salami, that is played by Shola Shobowale, and I have to say her performance was really the standout of this movie. Like, by the end of the movie I was a fan. It begins with her walking into a Lagos party, which we learn is her birthday party. She's accompanied by her adopted daughter Kemi, played by Adesua Etomi Wellington. At this party, she first meets K1 the Ultimate. If you don't know K1 the Ultimate, he's a legendary Lagos musician who also performs at APC rallies sometimes. Of course, APC being the party of which Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a founding member, and the party is running on that to become president. K1 the Ultimate also plays himself in the movie as major Tinubu vibes. We are also introduced to Eniola's biological son, Kiton, who is portrayed as lazy and kind of the black sheep of the family. His stepsister is the one that kind of carries the weight of the family and is following in the mother's footsteps. Eniola Salami is shown collecting monetary donations at her party, and then the Lagos State governor arrives. Case closed. It's Tinubu. It's time to go home. No need to continue with the analysis. Okay, I'm just joking. Lagos State Governor is introduced by comedian Seyi Law, who is acting as the MC of the party. There are so many celebrities in this movie. Seyi Law cracks a funny joke.
A quick announcement. Please, if you are not here bearing gifts for the celebrant, please stop going to the buffet stand, please.
So basically, the who is who in Lagos, they are at this party, but then we see by some gossip from the guests that Eniola Salami, she's not a very likable person. In fact, it turns out that she might be a dangerous person, but she's a very powerful figure in Lagos State. In fact, her adopted daughter Kemi, who is very active in the dealings of her mother, she threatens a senator at the party, saying
Lagos can be a very dangerous city.
As if to confirm all the gossip about her, Eniola moves to a separate location in the same building. As her birthday is going on, she has somebody being tortured, and she ends him with a hammer. I told you this movie is very graphic. I mean, it's just as graphic as I described, maybe even more graphic than I described. Eniola gives major Godfather vibes in this movie. Anyways, in another location, Reminisce and Iblis meet. They play mob characters in a cartel. I know their characters have names, but I'm just going to continue calling them Reminisce and Iblis. Makes the movie much more fun for me. Both of them plan on how to rob two houses whose owners have illegally stashed cash in them. I'm talking about millions of dollars. We are then introduced to an anti-corruption government organization called the NCCC, which of course is an analog for EFCC. Here, the commission head inspector, Inspector Shehu, enlists his most honest staff, Inspector Gobir, to investigate Eniola for financial crimes. Now, this is where a major theme of the movie starts to unravel. Eniola visits a high-ranking member of a political party called Are Akinwade. It turns out that Eniola Salami was instrumental in installing both the president of the country and the governor of Lagos State. But even after helping them out in their elections, by being their godfather, helping with her muscle behind the scenes, they do not now want to in turn support her own ambition, her own political ambition. And they are now using her bad reputation, as an excuse not to support her, that they feel it to be a problem for the party. The same bad reputation that she used to put them into office. Does this remind you of anybody? She even says it in the movie, Pump and Plain, that she is the one that delivered the South for the party.
Who had the power of the South? Me! Eniola!
In the next scene, we witness a simultaneous raid on three houses. As three houses are being robbed simultaneously. One raid is by the EFCC, NCCC, another one by the Hillbillies gang, another by the Reminisce gang. Large amounts of dollars are found hidden in all three houses. In one house, the money is found wrapped inside a soak-away pit. That's in the house Hillbillies is robbing. In the other house being robbed by the Reminisce gang, the money is found hidden inside a coffin. Like, these are very disgusting scenes. Like I said, this movie is very graphic. In the next scene, we see that Eniola is very popular among like poor people in the trenches in Lagos State, which is another nod to, you know, we also begin to see some flashbacks into Eniola's rough childhood, what she suffered to become what she is today, more of which I'll get into. I think the director was going for similar storytelling like in the movie Memento. Eniola then calls a meeting of the heads of Lagos, which is like a mob cartel that controls the underground crime scene in Lagos. In this cartel, she is referred to as the King, which is where the movie gets its name, King of Boys. Like, she's the one leading the cartel. She is the king of boys. It's in this scene that we learn that her trying to enter into politics is starting to make her look weak in the cartel, and Reminisce decides that he wants to take her crown from her. That's, he wants to become the new king of boys. From that moment, Eniola and Reminisce become enemies. Let me just say that I also enjoyed Reminisce's acting. Like, I was pleasantly shocked. The guy played his role to perfection. But this next scene is one of the funniest scenes I've ever watched in my life. Eniola and Reminisce go into spiritual war against each other. I don't know why they included this scene. I don't think it was necessary. Next thing you know, we learn that Eniola has fallen out of favor with the president of Nigeria, and the the NCC. You know what? I will just call them the EFCC for the sake of this video. The EFCC calls her in for questioning. Inspector Gobir, the honest EFCC inspector, then gets her arrested after refusing to take a bribe of $500,000 from an unknown caller. And we also learned that refusing this bribe was a very tough decision for him because his wife is sick in the hospital and she needs a transplant. Okay, from here, the plot starts to get a little bit crazy. The judge of Eniola's case is an Igbo judge played by Norbert Young, which is a veteran actor. His family is napped, stolen, so he receives a call where he is blackmailed into granting Eniola bail. When Eniola is granted bail and they are making their way out of the court, Kemi is now shot by an unknown assailant. We then get even more flashbacks of Eniola's rise to becoming a crime lord. It turns out that as a young woman, she had an affair with the former crime boss, and when she was pregnant with his child, that's Keaton, she had his main family ended and made to look like an accident. She then went on to become king of boys after this crime boss Alaji that she was dating loses his life to a terminal illness. As you can see, there's some major Game of Thrones things going on. She planned her rise to the top, dating the original king of boys, the Alaji, but just to have his son, then ending the life of his family, making it look like an accident so that she can ascend to the throne. She even ends the person on the throne that she meets that is trying to take over in her absence. Now back to the main story, where we learn that Eniola's son's girlfriend, that's Keaton's girlfriend, Amaka, is exposed as the one that set up Kemi's demise. In this scene, I think he kind of knows his girlfriend's password, so he looks into her phone and finds some messages where the deal was being set up, to have Kemi ended, and he's very shocked by this news. And in that shock, he then proceeds to end her then and there. Then when he realizes what he has done and the amount of trouble he's in, he then ends himself. There's a lot of ending in this movie, like people being ended. It's really graphic. Oh, and we find out that the judge's family was ended as well and thrown on the street or something. So Eniola is now in so much grief, having lost her entire family in one fell sweep, so she starts to hallucinate. There's this really cool scene that follows that I like, where her past self is talking to her present self, and her past self is trying to motivate the present self, saying, "No more, you've gone weak, like you're losing it." But then all the ghosts of her past now start appearing and talking to her. She then enters into a wave of depression. In the meantime, Reminisce ascends the throne as the new king of boys, and Inspector Gobir is asked to drop the EFCC case against Eniola so that a stronger case can be pursued against her. That's the case of ending the judge's family. Okay, hope you are still with me. This is the big reveal of the movie. It turns out that Inspector Gobir's boss, Shehu, the high-ranking APC of the high-ranking party official Are, and Reminisce were all working together to pin the crime of ending the judge's family on Eniola. So it turns out that Eniola was actually innocent of the crime of ending the judge's family. Reminisce then attempts to end Eniola's life by burning down the prison where she is held, but Inspector Gobir, of all people, bravely enters into the burning building and rescues Eniola Salami. Inspector Gobir is such a nice guy, but on his way to take Eniola to the hospital after she has inhaled a lot of smoke from the fires, he then receives a call from the hospital saying that his wife has lost her life. So he just stops on the side of the road. He can't even carry her to the hospital again. But funny enough, it turns out that Eniola doesn't really need to go to the hospital. Like, somehow she healed herself in the car. Maybe the news of Inspector Gobir's wife passing kind of expelled all the smoke from her lungs, because she's looking very, very shocked as well, and she has recovered. Inspector Gobir says he can't carry her anywhere anymore, that he has realized that they are really after her life. So he gives her like 2,000 naira to leave his car and run away. Inspector Gobir, nice guy Gobir. At this point, I kind of started to lose focus because everything just goes completely crazy. Are is arrested. Are is arrested. Inspector Shehu, that's Gobir's boss, ends himself while he is about to be arrested, and Reminisce is ended by ill bliss for some reason. We then learn that Eniola escaped to the US, where she now runs a restaurant in Brooklyn, and she still runs the cartel. Like, she's still the king of boys from there, and she runs the cartel via Zoom call and her henchman. I really don't know how that works. Like, how are you a wanted person, like one of the most wanted people in your state, then you escape by traveling to the US and nothing will happen to you, and US, you are running like a business there, and you think the US will just allow her to be running the business there? I really get that part, especially when she's still running the cartel from there. I mean, I thought she was so weak when she left that, you know, left room for others to take over. How is it that she is now able to run it when she ran away for her life to a different country? Anyway, all that aside, that's basically the end of the movie. In the credit scene, we get a lot of pictures of crew members sleeping on set, which I guess means they worked very hard, or maybe they were ended by Eniola as well. I felt like the pacing of the movie was very off. I would have preferred it if throughout the movie we kept the focus on Eniola, because her acting was superb, but there were so many tangents. So many characters kept coming in and we kept entering into their story a little, and we shift to another person, we shift to the next character, and we go back to Eniola, and we shift to another character again. Like, the whole thing seemed very jumbled for me. Whenever we went into one of those tangents, I started losing focus. And some of those tangents, I don't even think they were necessary. Like, the whole subplot of Inspector Gobir's wife, I get what they were trying to do, but at the end of the day, it didn't work. Like, they were trying to show that it was very weighty decision for him not to collect the bribe. I get that, but at the end of the day, it really didn't lead to anything. Like, there was no payoff. And when he lost his wife, I don't know, there was this whole thing that he kind of thought that it was because he saved Eniola, or I didn't really get that part. I started to think maybe the director just wanted to start ending people for fun. There was one guy that his teeth were like stamped into the side of a table. Oh man, that scene was, yeah. Even with his teeth on the table, the whole thing looked weird. Like, it looked very messy but very clean at the same time. I don't think I'm describing this well, am I? But it was a good movie. So my final verdict is this King of Boys movie about Tinubu. I really don't think so. Maybe some parts of his story were borrowed for the movie, especially the beginning part. But as we went on, it kind of turned into a generic crime drama with a whole lot of needless twists. I wouldn't say this is Tinubu's origin story. I don't see where the connection comes from. But another thing about that, all these comparisons between this King of Boys movie and Tinubu's origin story, they are born because of Tinubu. His past is still shady and nobody really knows any details about his past. Like, I could come out tomorrow and say Tinubu made his money by becoming a carpenter. Nobody could dispute me because nobody knows. If there was some clarification on his past, all these comparisons would be needless. Anyway, let me know what you think about the King of Boys movie. Do you think it's about Tinubu? Have you watched it? Do you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments. Share, like this video and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, my name is OB Keeng and I'll see you guys in the next one.